Hey guys, it's Lisa and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to just do some fall decor, and I'm just going to actually do some random pieces. Now this is a wooden pair of birds that my sister gave me, and there's so much detail here, and I just thought this would be a perfect piece to just paint buttercream on and heavily distress it. So I give this 2 coats of the color Buttercream, and then I just let that dry well and then heavily distress it. Now I could have distressed this with a damp cloth, and I did try that, but it was just going to take way too long. So what I ended up doing is just taking some sandpaper and just distressing it that way. This would also be a good piece to paint a darker color and use a white wax on, but again, I just wanted this. I think it being such a large set of birds, or a pair of birds, that it needed a good neutral color. And you could also paint this a light color and then clear coat it so that it doesn't take as much of the brown as you would normally get with either a brown wax or a brown glaze, and then you could use a brown glaze or brown wax over it, and then the dark would settle down into the detail, and that would be really pretty. But I just wanted to keep this lighter white, and when you use the brown wax or even the brown glaze, you're going to get some color change on the whole thing, not just inside the detail. So I just didn't want to risk making these too dark. So after I get these distressed, then I had 2 choices. You could either use a clear wax on these and seal them that way. I just took them outside and sprayed them with a Rust-Oleum clear matte finish so that it would seal this paint in. But again, I could have used a clear wax instead. So I'll display this in a fall vignette, but this one is not limited to fall. The next one is. So these are just some little pieces of actually a crib, a Jenny Lynn crib, and I just took the square pieces and cut just a couple little heights of these to use as a pair. And now I'm just kind of sanding my sharp edges. And then I just paint these and then distress them, and then I drill a hole in the top and just add a little stick as the stem, and that makes a good little set of pumpkins to put in a tiered tray. That was kind of the idea that I had for these, and I didn't get it on camera, but once I finished these, when I started to put them out in the store, I just decided to put them in a clear cellophane bag and tie some ribbon around the top and just sell them as a pair, and it makes a cute little gift. And I put $5 on them. I've had some people ask about my prices, and I don't generally like to share them because I find that prices vary so much in different areas, and I've had people tell me that I'm too cheap, and it's just what sells in my area, and I know what it takes to get my money back and my time back, and I don't always recoup my time, but we just know our areas better than others do, and just because I sell something for a certain amount doesn't mean that you could even get that, or doesn't mean that you couldn't get a lot more. And most crafters know that you just have to do it because you enjoy doing it. You're not going to get rich on doing these things. You'll make a little bit of money, but it's therapy for me, and I just really enjoy it. And I do make a little money on them, and it's enough for me. So again, I paint both of these and I distress them. I just use some sandpaper and distress them. And then I drill a hole in the top and put a stick in it, hot glue a stick down inside it, and add some little leaves to the top. And then this is a little set of pumpkins to go in your tiered tray decor. But this is a good way to be able to control the size of your pumpkins to go in your tiered tray. And then for a little larger pumpkin for the tray, I just took a little 4x4 block and sanded around the edges heavily, drilled a hole in the top, and added a stem to that with some hot glue and painted that one. And again, added some leaves, and that made a little bit larger pumpkin for the bottom layer of my tier tray. And here I've added some greenery and even some floral to the top of this one. And now I'm going to make another pumpkin from the Dollar Tree foam pumpkins, and I've already base coated. I've taken the stem off that it comes with, and it actually made a pretty good size hole on this one, so I'm going to have to work around that. But I painted this in the color sea glass, and then I had some lace that was real close to that color. So I'm just going to cut out a square that will wrap around this pumpkin and just stuff down in that center. And so because this is a very thin fabric, and thin fabrics are good to work with, but in this case I would have done well with a little bit thicker one so that it would help shrink that hole in the center some, if that makes sense. So I ended up having to work around that. But as you can see, these cover so well. This is such an easy makeover for these pumpkins. I always look for them at the Dollar Tree when they come in, and my Dollar Tree doesn't have them yet, so I'm kind of trying to keep a close eye because it's such a good value. And I get, for this one, I'll probably put about $6 on it. And it just depends on what you do to it. If you add a lot of embellishment to it, obviously you're going to get more. If it's a little larger pumpkin, you're going to get more. But that's about what I get for this size pumpkin. Now, I tried a few different things to use as a stem on this, and I couldn't get either of them to work because that hole is so large. So what I ended up with is an old doorknob that is still on the base. And I just hot glued that in, and so I'm holding it a while so that it hot glues to the bottom of this. And then I'm going to just stuff polyfill all around it to keep it good and steady inside the pumpkin. And then because I glued that base all the way to the inside bottom of the pumpkin, it adds some weight to the bottom of the pumpkin so that it's not top heavy. Otherwise, if I didn't have that, it definitely would have been top heavy. And then I just took some lace, some thicker lace actually, and just kept gluing it around the top until I felt like I had that area filled in really well, and was happy with the way it looked on top. Now, I love using old doorknobs for different projects. It works really well for pumpkins. I like to use them as bottle toppers. So anytime you can find those at a good price, it's a good idea to pick them up. My problem is I rarely find them. So I'm usually picky about what I use them on because I want to make sure that they're on just the right project. But with this one, I just couldn't make anything else work, so that's why I ended up using this on this pumpkin. And I love that it's rusty and crusty on top because it's going to go well in my vignette. I'm using this sea glass color, but I'm using some rustic touches as well. And then I just tie some lace around the top and add a hang tag, and that's all that I did to this one. And then next, I'm going to show you a real quick, easy way to make some little signs to go in your tiered tray. So I just took a little small piece of wood, and it's actually just a cut piece of Luan, and I'm going to decoupage some of this napkin on it. And this way you can make your signs any size you want, and it's very inexpensive and quick, and it's just a good way to add some color to your tiered trays and vignettes and be able to control the size of your sign. So if you've never decoupaged with napkins, it's one of my favorite decoupage materials because it lays so well, and it's a very inexpensive material to use. And the designs that you can find in napkins, there's just so many of them, and you have so much versatility with these. And when you're decoupaging with napkins, you always pull all the layers off except for that one layer that has the image on it. So this one I think had a couple of layers that I removed, and you can do that by just taking a piece of tape to a corner and just pulling the back off, and it will pull that back off and it will grab whatever layers that there are. And if you feel like it's still not thin enough, then try it again, and that's how you'll know how many layers. Most napkins have about 3 layers, the printed layer and then a couple more, but there are some that only have 2. And I didn't mention that I like to antique around the edges of my signs with some antiquing or distress ink, and that's just a matter of preference. Then for the next item, I'm going to do another pumpkin, and this is another pumpkin that I took more of the inside than I wanted to when I took that stem off. I've already base coated this one white. But this is going to work out because the fabric I'm using here is going to be enough to fill that in, so I won't have to be as careful what kind of stem that I use. But I love using this old chenille, and what I really like is the chenille that is on the thinner side like this, because it's very easy to work with, and although it's thin, it has enough substance again that it will fill in that hole better. But it just has a really pretty look on pumpkins, and chenille is hard to find, especially when it's thinner like this, and also when it is a really pretty color. And I just really like this. This is very close to the sea glass that I've been using on the other areas. And for this stem, I'm just going to hot glue a piece of driftwood in the top. And it's a tight squeeze, so it works really well to just put that hot glue down in there, and that helps hold the fabric on, and also that stem is not going anywhere. And then I just hot glued a couple of leaves, and I know these are not pumpkin leaves, but I'm just going for color and size here. And then I'm going to glue some little pip berries that I think I got these at the Dollar Tree last year. And what I like about these is, in this case, it's going to go with the color of the leaves. But what I like about them is you can curl them and twist them around the stem or whatever, and just create some little curly cues that make the pumpkin look more realistic. And I curl these by just twisting them around a pencil or something. And then I just added a hang tag that says, "May the blessings of the season fill your hearts and your home." And I think that's appropriate for the fall season. And so that's all that I did on this one. And again, it's just some little fall items that you can add to tiered trays, or just any area that you need to dress up. But I thought these colors worked really well together. I love the rich orange and the sea glass and buttercream together. I think that's a really pretty color combination. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless you and your family.